The content you're about to enjoy comes from the archives of The Best You. We're devoted to the very best in personal development, with a platform and resources dedicated to inspiring and changing people's lives. At The Best You, we work with the world's leading writers and trainers on the evolution of the self, and people whose journeys have been affected by their work and words. These Best You EXPO talks are recorded in front of a live audience in a live event. We highly recommend that you focus on the message. As they say, what you focus on expands. Enjoy.
Okay, good morning. Welcome everybody. Who's just walked into the Expo about the last 5 minutes? You guys have all done the rounds already and you've come to this talk. So thank you first and foremost for coming to this talk. This talk is all about the surprise key to superhuman health and longevity. Is that what we're after here today? Yeah? Yeah? Some nodding? I need some engagement so I can see that I'm still keeping you guys awake and alive. Well, good morning. My name is Kalymnios. I am the person who's going to be sharing with you in the next 40 minutes or so some ideas that I've learned that have really benefited my life and that can help you in some way. So firstly, who am I? Why should you listen to me? What are you guys doing here? Maybe you've just walked in, you've just had a long journey, you just want to sit down and listen to anything. So if that's the case, I'm grateful for that too. But I used to work in the corporate world. I used to work for the London Stock Exchange and Accenture for many, many years. Who here works in the kind of a corporate job at the moment? Anyone? Or are you guys all on a different path? Okay, a few of you. So I used to work in the corporate world, and what happened was I wasn't really totally energized with being there. I wasn't really not liking it, but I wasn't really loving it. And so I started seeking out something more, and I started coming to events a bit like this, personal development. Everyone here, I guess, is into personal development. They've come to the Best You because they want to be the best versions of themselves. So I started going to events, such as the Yes Group, which I'm going to briefly mention in a second. And I started studying, started learning from all the speakers that were out there, the audiobooks, the books, the people I was interacting. I became like a real student. And I started learning what was working for them and what wasn't working for them. And you probably heard this if you're into Tony Robbins. Anyone here into Tony Robbins or heard of Tony Robbins or Jim Rohn? The idea success leaves clues, right? That there's a pattern to success. There's a pattern to failure. There's a pattern to all of these things. And if you look at enough people and enough stories, yes, they're all going to be slightly different, but you're going to notice certain commonalities. And what I started doing was noticing those commonalities between the successful people, some of which are on the screen here. I'm sure some of which you'll know, Tony Robbins there and Les Brown and Jim Rohn. So a lot of these are my virtual mentors. Some people I may have met in person as well who may or may not be on the screen. And I started gathering information, started learning, started applying what was working in their lives to my life. So if 9 out of 10 people were saying that this thing worked for them, I tried it. Like, I see a gentleman at the back there having a green smoothie. That was a common theme. So I started having green smoothies. Gratitude logs. Lots of people were talking about that. I started doing that. So I started doing lots and lots of different things. Essentially keeping what worked and ditching what didn't work. And noticing the improvements in my own life, going from kind of there where I wasn't like super de-energized, I wasn't like, overweight or really depressed or anything like that, but I was just like, just normal, middle of the road. Nothing was bad enough to change, but it wasn't great either, to coming up to here. And I know that it's not the end of the journey, there's still places to go, but what I noticed was the certain commonalities and what I called feeling superhuman. How do I have superhuman health, vitality, success in my life? Eventually, through doing lots of this activity and being involved in personal development, I came across the Yes Group. Who here has heard of the Yes Group? You've got a few flyers, yeah? A few of you belong to the Yes Group. It is a personal development community dedicated to helping people grow and contribute in the wider world. And you've got some flyers there in front of you. I'm not going to talk too much about it, but we have monthly events where we bring inspirational and motivational speakers to help inspire and lead you to something else. So I started going to this event, just sitting in the audience like you are today, went for many years, started helping out, and eventually became the leader of that group. And I run a team here, all volunteer basis. Everyone is a volunteer, but we're just super dedicated to helping other people become the best versions of themselves. We do have a stand as well. So do come and see us. It's just over there, stand 111, and you can get discounted tickets to the next event. But the point is, I started improving my life, and I felt what I call superhuman. And I'm going to explain what I mean by being superhuman in a second, because it can kind of bring up different ideas for different people. I don't mean, being able to hold your breath for 22 minutes, which incidentally is a world record, if you believe that. There is a guy out there who can hold his breath for 22 minutes. Or walk up Mount Kilimanjaro in nothing but shorts. Now, I've been up Mount Kilimanjaro, and I once, when I was on the top, I took my gloves off for about a minute to take a photo, and my fingers started going black. So I know what it's like up there when it's minus 20 degrees Celsius with just a glove off. And this guy is going up there in nothing but shorts. But that's not what I really mean by it. Yes, I've done lots of different events, teaching yoga, hiking, triathlons, whatever, but this is all good fun, but it's just once in a while. So what I'm talking about when I'm talking about superhuman is this idea of everyday superhuman, where you're feeling on point, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, to do the stuff you want to do. Go to work, go to the gym before work, pick up the kids after school, play with them at the weekends, write that book in the evenings, which is kind of how I got to feeling like this. I left the stock exchange, I started contracting, I realized that if I wasn't working, I wasn't going to get paid. I was on a day rate. I wanted to learn how to speak, so I had to go to speaking classes. I wanted to write a book, which I had to then do in the evenings. So I wanted to do all of this stuff and still work 8-9 hours a day. So that's what I mean by being superhuman, is that imagine yourself on your best day, if you can for a second, and then just 10x in that, and then being able to live out of that more days than not. 29 days out of 30, you're up there. You're turned on being who you want to be. That's what I mean by being superhuman. And what I came to realize was that when I studied all of these amazing people, some of the people you may see the common themes today when I speak and others speak, is that all of what everyone was talking about when it came to health, vitality, longevity, fell into one of 4 areas. When I grouped it all up together after doing this for a number of years, I thought there must be a pattern. There must be something that I can then teach other people in a nice, simple way of what I'm doing. And it worked out as being 4 key areas, and it's detailed in the leadership beat model. The reason I call it the leadership beat model is because really, for my mind, we need to be more leaders in the world. And leadership starts with self-leadership. So even if you don't believe that you're a leader, you still have to lead yourself each and every day, whether that's deciding what to put on, whether that's being the parent of a child, whether that's being an informal leader to a colleague, or whether that's just deciding how to cook and how you're going to run your life. You're still a leader. But to be the best leader that you can be, the best self-leader, you must be what I call on point, mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. And it's through this leadership beat model that becomes possible. So the 4 areas are the B, E, A, and T, hence the word beat, conveniently put. The first section really is all about the mind. So you notice my brand there is called the Thought Gym. So it's all about thinking. What I came to realize was that many people start recycling their patterns. I'm not going to ask for a show of hands here, but just think, has anyone, and I'll be able to tell by your expressions maybe, but joined like a gym in January and then quit by February, or started a diet and then maybe even completed it but then gone back to where they were? Now, the reason for that is because you haven't changed the mindset predominantly behind the behavior that's producing it. And if you do that, you're just going to run the same patterns over and over. And so everything starts with the mind. And so that's where the idea for the first book came about, the Thought Gym. It's really about how to change that mindset so that you can get success, whether it's your health, wealth, wellness, or anything else. It's how do you shift that mindset? Maybe some tools from NLP that people might be familiar with. Anyone familiar with NLP? So you know that you can do some different changes in your brain through that, changes to your belief systems. So it's all about the mindset. So that's the first section. I'm not going to cover all the sections. We're going to dive into one of the sections. Like I said, all of that is detailed in the book, The Thought Gym, which covers your beliefs. If you believe certain things, if you believe eating healthy is boring, you're not likely to do it. Or cooking is a chore, you're not going to do it. So you need to change your beliefs. You need to change what you value in life. We look at the language that you use, because how you change your language is going to affect how you feel about something, whether you have to do something or you want to do something. Okay, it's going to change how you feel about it. what to eat, to drink, exercise, your identity, who you see yourself as a person. Am I someone that is always yo-yoing on diets? Then if that's your identity, you're going to maintain that. And finally, how to set goals, which was a new concept for me. So all of that is detailed in the book. You can buy a copy. I only literally have 10 with me today for the whole day. So come see me at the end for that. But that is the first section, brain. Yeah, this is, what it's all about. So it's a metaphor for your psychology, your mindset, and the importance that growth education has in making you feel energized. If you want to feel energized, you need to be continually growing. Come to events like this. Really important. The second section is all about how you nourish your body from the inside and out. Okay, I'm going to do a little bit of audience participation here. And I won't be able to hear you, so you're going to have to shout out really loudly. Come in, come in. What are the ancient elements? Anyone shout out, and I'll see if I can hear. Water, air, fire. I think I heard earth. And there's a fifth one. I do. All right, well, we'll see if we get it. These are the Greek ones. Air, water, earth, fire. And the last one is ether. Okay, so these are the ancient Greek elements. I am Greek, so I like to tie it in. But these are metaphors for what you need to do to nourish your body. Again, this is a section we're not going to look at, but air is about your breathing, taking deep diaphragmatic breaths, structured breathing. Water, structured water, clean water, the importance of that. Earth is around your relationship with the earth, plus a metaphor for the food that you get from the earth. Fire is around your exposure to sunlight, being outdoors, being in nature. And ether is the importance of your environment, your physical environment, but also the invisible environment that we see around us or don't see, that we use in our phones, EMFs, the environment that we put on our body from our sun creams and shampoos and conditioners. All of these have an effect on our health. So this is the metaphor. But that's elements. So B for brain, psychology, E for elements. Now I'm just going to jump to the fourth section of the beat model here. And this is all about how you rest, repair, rejuvenate, recoup your body. A lot of people there, anyone here likes to get things done, achieve goals, things like that, a bit A-type. You've got to remember to rest, okay? It's not sexy sometimes, but you really need to learn to incorporate some structured relaxation and rest into your day-to-day, week-to-week, and month-to-month. So from shorter periods to extended periods. So this section is called tranquility. So this is how about you bring more tranquility in your life from massage, meditation, sleep, flotation tanks, digital detoxing, fasting, a number of different practices. All of these sections are very deep. Yeah, you can get about 6 or 7 PhDs in just each quadrant alone. But on the surface, it's quite simple. But I want to look at this third section because it's a bit more relevant to what I'm going to be talking about with the Yes group as well. Are we all still with me? Yeah? A few nods? Good. Great. Okay. That is a section of activity. Come in, sit down. It's all good.
If you're interested in sharing your story, sharing your dreams, sharing your ideas in the largest personal development platform, the Best You EXPO, sign up today. Go to www.thebestyouexpo.com or send an email to info@thebestyou.co.
So activity is the third section of the beat model, the leadership beat model. And this typically people think is about exercise. Okay? When most people are thinking about being healthy, they think diet, they think exercise, and if they're a bit more switched on, they might think about sleep. But these are two small sections, you know. You've got diet in here, but that's not all of elements. You've got exercise in activity, but it's not all part of activity. Sleep is in tranquility, but it's not all part of that. And most people miss out the mindset altogether. So it's not that robust, most other models. But activity is more than just about exercise that we think about. It is around everything that you do in a day, you know, from the people you hang around with. Do you have normal, regular movement? Are you getting up and moving like every 30 minutes or so? We're not designed to be sat down for extended periods of time. We're designed to move a lot, rest. Move a lot, rest. Move a lot, and then rest a lot. That's kind of how it works, and we do the opposite, effectively. So it's around everything that you do, but it's also something else which is quite important. And again, most people miss it out. And it's this concept that I call PSPC. By the way, some of these concepts I'll have little cards that you can by all means take away as well, and I'll leave a form that you can sign up if you want more information on things. But PSPC stands for passion. Do you have passion in your life? You need to make sure that you feel passionate about what you do. Even if it's not in your job, what within your job can you feel passionate about, or outside of your job? The next one is service. Do you offer yourself in service? So this is us at the Yes Group stage. All of us are volunteers. We're all giving our time away. Way too much time sometimes, in my opinion. But we are spending a lot of time offering ourselves in service, whether that's you volunteer at your Toastmasters, the Rotary, a soup kitchen, the Red Cross. Where can you offer yourself in service? Next P, purpose. Do you have a guiding mission in life, a purpose, a higher purpose? That is going to get you through those difficult times. And lastly, what I want to cover a little bit more is connection. Okay? So connection, community, having a common unity with people. That is perhaps, and that is the big secret. This is the secret. Okay? Diet, exercise, there are many different types. And I'm going to show you some examples now of where the commonality is across everything. And it is in connection with other people. Finding a community, whether it's the Yes Group or another group, that's someone that you can connect with, build you up, have strong bonds with. Super important. I'm not sure if anyone has read Malcolm Gladwell's books, but in there he talks about this town of Roseto. Roseto was a town in Italy, and early last century, a lot of them came over to America to emigrate. And they were quite a close-knit community, and they all created a new town called Roseto in Pennsylvania. And what happened is in the 1950s, when doctors and researchers were coming to the town, they'd heard that no one under the age of 60 or 65, I think, had any trace of heart disease, whereas in the rest of the states it was kind of prevalent. And in fact, even those over 60, there was hardly anything going on. And they thought maybe the genes from these people is particularly strong. But what they noticed is those people that were from Roseto in Italy but had moved elsewhere in the States were suffering just like anyone else. So they thought maybe it's the diet. And actually they were eating just crap food as well, or like anyone else. It wasn't anything to do with that. And when they took everything else out, they noticed that there were generations of families living together under one roof. That when you walked down the street, everybody knew everyone else's name. If someone's house burnt down, everyone was going to club together and build it. And so that was deduced as being the key for their longevity, is that they had this sense of community and connection with each other. And unfortunately, as the 70s and 80s progressed, the towns got bigger, spreading influences, that sense of community got lost, and then just like everywhere else, the rates of heart disease increased like anywhere else. Yeah, has anyone heard of this study before, or is this new? A few people. Good. Well, I'm sharing something. You've learned something. Remember, B for brain, you've got to keep learning. Great. There's also a study, longest study when it's come to longevity out there, started by some Harvard researchers in 1938. What they did is they took groups of people, 724 young men at the time. They've since incorporated women. It's been going for about 80 years, from two different areas. So they had Harvard students, sophomore students, and then they had kids who were from like the kind of rougher parts of Boston and uneducated, weren't going to do the same kind of work that the Harvard people were doing. And they wanted to see how their lives progressed. And they were checking with them every few years, massive amounts of questions on diet, lifestyle, everything you can think of. There's around 60 of them left. But what they realized is three main lessons that came out of this study, which has been going for 80 years, with generations of lead researchers taking up the baton. Three main things that came out of it, and maybe you might have heard of this, seen this before. First one, social connections are really, really good for us. They help us live healthier, happier, longer lives. There was no question on this, regardless of all the other factors. Not to say they're not important, that's why they're in the beat model. Right? Everything is important. But the thing that really stood out was this. By converse, those that lived in isolation, didn't have those strong connections, were more likely to be less happy. Their health declined earlier. Their brain function declined. They lived shorter lives. And I think intuitively, we kind of get this. We know this. We hear about these stories of people who are living a bit more isolated lives. Number 2, it wasn't just relationships, but the quality of those relationships mattered, having those deep connections. And those that were in a good relationship at 50, even if there were discrepancies and disagreements, but they had a solid relationship at 50, was a good indicator for whether they were going to be alive and happy and healthy at 80 years old. And it didn't matter whether they had high cholesterol, heart disease, kind of anything else. Okay, if they had good relationships, 30 years later they were on point. And that having good relationships protects the brain. Stop things like dementia, Alzheimer's, all the things that we traditionally think of as maybe a consequence of aging. And there are other consequences that feed into those diseases, definitely, from a lifestyle perspective. It's not just a genetic lottery. Many of us maybe believe that. Part of my research from the last 10 years shifted that paradigm around what it took to become healthy, and age and disease and cure and everything else completely shifted. We've got a lot more control over things than we think. And part of that is firstly taking control of our mindset so that we can really appreciate that and shifting those beliefs around that. Then there was another study, another book, a guy called John Robbins. He wrote a great book called Healthy at 100. I don't know if anyone's read that. Anyone read Healthy at 100? Just me? Anyone heard of John Robbins? So he's an interesting guy. Have you heard of Baskin and Robbins, the ice cream? 32 flavors sort of thing. So he was the son of the guy that created that, and his uncle was the other guy. And he ditched the entire empire because his uncle died at 55. His dad tried to get him in the family business, turned his head back on that, became a vegan, big proponent of veganism and conscious living and longevity. And he wrote a very profound book called Diet for a New America in the 1980s, which is worth a read. But anyway, he wrote this other book called Healthy at 100. And he was just looking at centenarians, people that live to over 100 across the world. He looked at 4 regions in particular. I'm not going to ask you to guess the countries. 1, I wouldn't hear you, and 2, you probably can't see exactly where they are. But it was the Vilcabamba in Ecuador, the Hunza in Pakistan, the Okinawans, which most people are familiar with, in Japan, and I can never say this right, the Abkhazia in Georgia/Russia, depending on whose side you're on. But he looked at all these nations, and there were some commonalities across them. Most of them had a heavy plant-based diet, not exclusive, they did eat some animal products. Most of them did a lot of labor, what we would call exercise, nothing processed, any of that. But what was more interesting and what was more prevalent across all of them was that actually through the aging process, and as they age, like in our society, for some abstract reason created in the early 1900s by a German guy, they decided the age of retirement should be 65, right? There's no rhyme or reason to that at all. And as a culture in the West, most people, when they reach their kind of more wisdom years, people are shoving them out, or they're saying that they're not, as valuable, and that's what retirement. If you want to live long, don't retire. That's another good tip. But the point is that in these cultures, as you got older, you got more revered, you got more valued. You were an elder, you were someone that was looked after, encouraged to kind of have a voice at the table, be the first to eat, do all the things that you would do, respecting your elders. Okay, it wasn't rocket science, and these people lived a long time because they had these strong social bonds. They had a high importance over what it took to be important and have lived a long life. It wasn't that you were being left out to pasture like we try and encourage in the West, rather wrongly, in my opinion. Anyone heard of that study at all? Blue zones as well is a kind of term that comes out for these people, these centenarians, octogenarians, those that live to 80 and above. Really, really important. Okay. Anyone know this guy? Jim Rohn? Yeah? It's a phrase, if you listen to loads of podcasts, they're always talking about it, whether it's 5, 6, 4. You are the average of the 5 people that you spend the most amount of time with. Being, you'll probably earn roughly in the middle of the 5 people you spend the most time with. You'll probably have the happiness levels of roughly the 5 people. You'll probably have the weight and health issues of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So think about who you're spending time with. Aristotle, one of my ancestors, I guess, looked into what made people happy. You know, one of the fathers of modern philosophy, and he said that there were three kinds of friendships really out there. Those that, you know, you just have for fun. You know, maybe you go out drinking, it's nothing too amazing or something. Then you have the strategic friendship, those that you have strong connection with. This is a recent picture. I guess, can you guys see who they are? Hope they're not watching this video. So strategic ones, you have fun only in as much as you can take advantage of it. And then you have those kind of close friendships, those really tied in quite close friendships. So three kinds of friendships. I kind of think of it slightly differently. And that is as 5-day friends, 5-hour friends, 5-minute friends. You might have noticed, I'll ask for a show of hands now, who's been into like personal development for more than like a couple of years or so? By show of hands. Okay. And when you started going into personal development and your kind of closer friends were thinking maybe you were crazy, you're going to another seminar, you started spouting all this stuff. Did anyone have any kind of experiences a bit like that, or where there was this kind of discrepancy? Right. Absolutely. Because they were on a different path and they're in a different point in time. And for me, it took a long time to kind of, you know, I wanted to bring people with me, yeah? You want to bring, you know, you learn all these amazing things. You want to tell everyone about it, encourage everyone to do it as well. But I've kind of like, through experience now, learned that that's not the way to do it. And also to recognize that the friends I've got, and I've had friends since the age of 5 that I still consider friends, and I'm, you know, 20 now. 15, not quite. But I've had them a long time. And it's quite hard to then, like, they're not coming with you. And sometimes we may, if we stay with that group of friendship, like we talked about being the average, because we don't want to feel them to feel bad or anything else, we may, in the end, sabotage something from our own successes, unconsciously or consciously. But if you recognize that there is this flotation between these three units, you know, whereas once they may have been 5-day friends, maybe they're now 5-hour friends. Maybe they're friends that you check in with once in a while, you go for a curry with, but you don't talk about your goals and ambitions. You don't talk about the weird diets that you've heard about or the weird affirmations that you've been doing. You know, maybe you have them as 5-minute friends eventually, and maybe those that were 5-minute friends that you've met for 5 minutes at a conference like this eventually become 5-day friends, 5-hour friends through joining the Yes group and places like that where you get to know them. And it's okay to have that, to realize that there is this transition and that you don't have to hold on to these people in the same way the whole time, forever. So think about this concept of, you know, are your friends 5-day friends still, or are maybe they 5-hour friends instead?
If you're interested in speaking, exhibiting, or getting involved in the largest personal development expos in the world, contact us today at www.thebestyouexpo.com or send us an email to info@thebestyou.co.
Okay. Anyone heard of this? Fubbing? Am I going to teach you something else? Apparently it's in the Oxford Online English Dictionary. It is the act of snubbing someone in a social media setting by looking at your phone or tablet or other device instead of paying attention and being present with the person. Has anyone ever had that happen to them? Anyone guilty of doing it themselves, maybe? Yeah? Okay. I don't mind too much with the phones right now if you're snapping and tagging and tweeting, but, you know, you want to be wary of that, because if, you know, your 5-day friend might become a 5-minute friend if you keep doing that for a long time. I know I've got a friend who is on the verge of that right now, and he's my best friend, but I know I want his phone out of his sight when he's near me because he's not going to engage with me properly. So, we're going to try something here. We've got a little bit of time, so I'm going to give it a minute or so. Because it's of time, right, I'm just going to say turn to someone you don't know, ideally. Okay? You're going to turn to someone, and you do need a partner with this. Okay? And I want you stay there because I'm going to need you for the mic in a minute, but you can do the exercise if you want. Okay, so turn to each other. You can introduce yourselves right now if you want, but then come back to the room straight away. And I want you to look into each other's eyes. Now, there's a reason for this. Most people are not doing enough eye contact these days, okay? If you want to really connect with someone, eye contact. I'm not saying we're going to hold it out there for as long as we're going to hold it here, but we're going to hold it now. I know it's going to be uncomfortable, it's going to be weird, maybe you're going to want to giggle, whatever it is. Stay with it. Look into that person's eyes and just see what their soul is telling you, okay? It's amazing what you can get out of someone's eyes. So I'm going to give it 1, maybe 2 minutes, I don't know, for you to do this. Silence, absolute silence. Look into each other's eyes and just focus your attention on being present, just being present with that person, okay? So take a partner. If you haven't got a partner, please find a partner. 1 minute. Okay, start wrapping it up. Say your thank yous to your partner. Okay, Mariana, can I ask you to grab the mic? And then I'd like to get some feedback. So hands up if you've got something to share about that experience. At the front here, yeah. Just say your name and what you got.
Stand up. Okay. Hello.
Hold it nice and close.
Hello, I'm Pauline. I was with this lovely lady, Diane, here, and initially very, very uncomfortable, and you sort of want to burst out laughing, but within about 20 seconds, I feel quite choked. I felt real warmth. Gosh, really, really sort of touching. I felt real warmth and a real connection with her, and I just could tell she was a really lovely, warm, lovely lady. Thank you.
Thank you. Round of applause there, because it's not easy to stand up and talk. Anybody else? Just one more, maybe.
Or man. Lady or man.
Anyone? No? Okay, yeah. Catherine? Just stand up, say your name and...
Hi, I'm Catherine. No, thank you to my partner. Obviously, I felt uncomfortable when I had to do that exercise at first, but I think what was amazing was without speaking and talking about your actual experiences, how I think you both know that, you know, you've both seen joy, you've both had pain, and that you can sort of feel that connection without using words. So thank
Brilliant.
you.
Thank you. Another round of applause. Again, showing support. Thank you, guys. I mean, it's an interesting experience. If we'd had more time, I would have got us doing it to different people, because over time, when you've done this 10 times for a minute or two each, you'll become a lot more confident and you'll see a lot more in someone's eyes. And when you're out there, it's not to say I'm encouraging you to spend 10 minutes talking to someone like this, never blinking, never turning your head, being really, really intense. But I'm saying be confident enough that you can look your boss in the eye and say, look, I've done a fantastic job this last 6 months. I deserve that pay rise. It's going to make them feel uncomfortable. They're going to have to give you the pay rise, okay? Trust me. Okay. There was a family psychologist or family therapist called Virginia Satir. Anyone heard of Virginia Satir? I know a few of you have, yeah. Her work was modelled by the co-creators of NLP. But she said that from a connection point of view, we need 4 hugs a day minimum for survival. We need 8 for maintenance, and we need 12 hugs a day for growth. In fact, I hear these urban stories about, you know, babies in orphanages, and there was, the last baby was the one that got the attention because she was able to have more time with her, and her immune system developed a lot stronger. She didn't get ill, she didn't have any of the problems that the other babies did. And I think these studies have been somewhat repeated, and I think we know this intuitively as well. We need physical connection as well as that emotional connection to help release the oxytocin in our systems and all the other good hormones that will help build our immune system. So think about how you can get more of those each day. So we're going to come in towards the end in a few minutes. We've got 10 minutes or so. Come in, guys, and you're in for the good stuff now. And I want you to think about goals, because we're all about goals, I guess, to some level or another. We're a goal-seeking population. We're a goal-seeking humanity, really. And we're here because we want to better ourselves in some way. So think about a goal that you've got in your mind. It might be to be healthier. It might be to have a better relationship with your kids. It might be, it might be anything, really, okay? And now I want you to stand up and put everything down. You don't need your phones. You don't need anything here. But I want you to put your hands out stretched like this. Okay. So keep your arms stretched out like this. And I want this motion here, this hands being out, to be a metaphor. Okay? It's a metaphor for your goal. It's a metaphor for whether you're going to achieve that goal or not, okay? I want you to keep your hands stretched out, okay, for as long as you possibly can, because this is the effort, the focus, the determination that you're going to need to get your goal, okay? Who felt, you don't have to say, just I can see it in your eyes, it's quite easy, putting your hands out like this is easy, yeah? It's always easy sort of thing to set the goal, isn't it? To think about what you want to achieve, get all gung-ho, buy the magazine, sign up to that online course, and it's easy, yeah? It's not hard to put your hands out like this. Anyone out there starting to feel a little bit more tired? We've still got 10 minutes left of my talk, by the way. Now you know how long the goal might take. Does that make you think differently about holding your hands out like this? You thought it was going to take 3 months to set up that website. No, it's taking longer. Yeah? Starting to feel the burn. Anyone? Or are you guys all gym goers? I'm a gym goer and I'm feeling it. So you guys are either super strong and superhuman already and don't need this talk, or you're lying to me. So we're going through this goal. We've got our arms out horizontally here. We feel maybe it's a bit harder. Maybe we're thinking about quitting. Anyone thinking about quitting? Is it worth having this goal? Is there anyone out there who's still finding it really easy to keep their arms up? I think there's a couple of you, because I can see the strength of bulging muscles. Someone's got so focused on their face, the goals that they want. Yeah? Holding it out there. Everyone's walking past and they're going, what are people doing? They've been like this for ages. I am so glad I didn't come into that talk. Oh my God, I was thinking about doing it, but I went and saw Mac instead. Holding it up, like holding it halfway, that's not getting the goal. Putting half a website together, who's going to be doing that? And what do you want to say?
All I want to say after this workshop, who doesn't want to buy his book?
Go. She's promoting for me. No, if you are interested, by all means, come over, grab a copy.
It's only £10, and I've only met Harry on Wednesday.
You did only meet me on Wednesday,
and I only know him.
I have this effect, eye contact.
This is the only...
Don't look into my eyes.
No, I'm happily married.
Don't look into my eyes.
But I've been in self-development for 2 years, and he's good. So... he told me at the beginning that I have joined Yes Group. He told me at the beginning he has a book, so I'm buying one. So you only have nine
left then. 9 left. If you're here tomorrow and I do sell out, I will bring some tomorrow, but I literally do have 8 or 9 or whatever it is. That is me. Please do go out there, be superhuman, think about connection, get your goals. It's a lot easier with support of a community around you. Have a fantastic weekend. I'm going to be here for the next 2 days, so if you don't get time to chat to me, please, if you want to stay connected, and we don't have time now, I'll put, I've got an email thing here, and I've also got some copies of the Beat model card that you can have, by all means, somewhere. I don't know where they are. She's got them. Yeah, give them out if you want. You won't understand all of it because you won't have done all of the training, but that's it. That's me. Have a great rest of your time. Thank you.
For more information, go to www.thebestyou.co.